as I said, as I commented in one of my early videos, what I'm intending to do was just go through each individual guitar I hold at the moment, just talk a little bit about the background, how I went about purchasing them in the first place and why. First guitar really was the guitar that really started off my serious guitar collecting. I've had guitars since the early 90s, started off with a Yamaha acoustic, inexpensive, and then had one or two guitars for quite a number of years, but it was this guitar really that started me off serious collecting, and it's a vintage modified Squier. I was just blown away by how good it was for the money. I got this from online from Anderton's in Guildford. Didn't try it beforehand, just read loads of good reviews. What I found is generally guitars nowadays are really good quality, so you know it's okay if you've got the time, effort, and it's somewhere near to you, then try it out. But you know, you can always have a guitar set up. It's not that expensive. This didn't need a setup. It cost me £230, which I thought was a really good price. I think compared to Classic Vibes, these are probably better value. I think you get more for your money. The only problem, of course, is they're not making them anymore. They stopped making them in the early part of this year, 2008. You might still be able to get one in shops. They still might hold a few, but they're following Society rule changes last year. They've got a different. The ones that were produced since early 17 will have instead of rosewood fretboard, they have Indian laurel, which is a rosewood substitute. Basswood body, very light. This has got a translucent blonde finish, but you can see the wood through it. You probably can't see it on the video, but yeah, and you know, normal light you can see right through the finish, and some people like that. As I say, this is what started my serious collecting, just realising what good guitars are out there. This is an Indonesian made guitar, so yeah, I just thought, yeah, I can get a good guitar. I don't have to buy American for not a lot of money, and yeah, so this is what really started me off. As I say, I got that online. Next guitar was a guitar I traded on Gumtree. I used Gumtree a lot. This just blew me away, this guitar. Instantly I saw it, I knew it was a keeper. It's known as the Lemon Drop, and I traded it for two other John Hornby Skews Les Paul style guitars. They're gold top, and a guitar that's very similar to this, that's known as the Slash guitar, so it's in a similar sort of style to one of his guitars. This has had quite a bit of mods done on it, quite a few mods, new pickups, push-pull pots. This is an early model as well, where it's got, you can always tell the early models, they've got mother of pearl vintage rather than the silk screen that's offered up now. But yeah, I met a guy, Dartford. I live in High Wycombe, and so I did all the travelling, brought my two guitars with me, met him at a train station. Funny thing was, he was with his wife, who we were having a conversation just about how many guitars we both were holding, and I actually had more than he did at that time, and she couldn't believe somebody could have like 23 guitars, which I had at that time. But yeah, he seemed to be happy enough. He got two guitars for my one guitar. My guitars were probably worth, well, they'd cost me about £450. And he was offering this up for a trade or £450, but those pickups alone are worth probably £200. So yeah, he was happy with what he got. I got a hard case as well. You know, some of these guitars, even acoustically, you know, they sound good. can always tell if a guitar's going to sound good through an amp. If it sounds really loud acoustically, you know you're on for a winner. These are pretty amazing guitars. The V100, this is the Lemon Drop reissue, not been relicked, still being made. Of course the original would come with the Wilkinson pickups. Next guitar up was another guitar I got off Gumtree. I've been after one of these for ages, made by John Hornby Skews Vintage. It's known as the VS A590. This discontinued guitar. They haven't made this for about 4 years. Been looking for one of these for ages, in the style of the Casino, the Epiphone Casino, and they're just amazing guitars. They stopped making them because, as with a lot of copies of Gibson guitars, there's always threats of legal action, and Vintage were actually taken to court in the US recently because they're selling a lot more guitars in the US now. Gibson managed to get a case against them that stops them making guitars in this style, the ES335 style. So they do still make semi-acoustics, but they've got offset horns and offset bodies, so they just don't look anything like the classic designs anymore, so they, in my opinion, don't look very good. So these older style ones, which are straight copies, are far more appealing, but they don't come up very often, unfortunately. So I got this, saw somebody advertising it on Gumtree. First time I've seen one. So I arranged to meet the guy, met him at a rail station, West Ryde, Drayton in the edge of London, and the funny thing was he wasn't very flexible. You know, you always look to get the price down a bit, and I offered him 200, he wanted 250, it was with the hard case, so we settled for 230. These guitars are really, for what they are, they're incredibly cheap. They come up very cheap, so you can get really good deals if people want to get rid of them. But when I actually met him at the train station, he didn't want to meet me halfway, which I thought was pretty inflexible. And when he actually turned up, it was some kid, 17-year-old, being driven there by his old man in the car, and by his father, which made me laugh. I don't think he really knew what he had, even though he had the guitar and played it and must have known it was a good guitar. He said, "Oh, I've got a Gretsch. I don't need a Korean-made vintage anymore." Well, they were never made in Korea, as far as I know. That guitar was made in China. So he didn't really know much what he was talking about, and to have sold it for 230, I think in years to come he'll regret it, because he's probably got a Gretsch that was made in China anyway. It's not as nice a guitar, just went for the name. So yeah, that was interesting and quite funny. But I'd gone by rail to pick this up, and getting it back was a nightmare. In that it's so heavy, and in a heavy case, just carrying it. You know, not if it had been better if it was in a gig bag. I could put it on my shoulders, but carrying it. You know, a few hours after I got it back, I had a back strain. It was so heavy. So yeah, it's one of the semi-acoustics with a central block, mahogany block, which makes it doubly heavy, but very good in terms of sustain and not getting feedback. So it's a good thing about a semi-acoustic that's not completely hollow-bodied. So next guitar up is a Rickenbacker 12 string. I've actually always been into Rickenbackers. Never really wanted to spend the money on an American guitar. Always got Southeast Asian, Chinese guitars, and when I have got Fenders, the best Fenders I've ever got are Mexican-made ones rather than US. So I was never really that keen and not willing to buy an American made guitar, and certainly not a Rickenbacker, even though I've always really loved the shape and the sound. But what happened was I had a lot of guitars. I'd built up a collection of about 25 guitars, and yeah, so I'd always wanted a Rickenbacker 12 string, particularly, and I had a lot of guitars to get rid of, particularly acoustics that I wanted to get rid of that were worth. I was looking to sell guitars that were worth a total of about 2,900, and I know these are about 2,700 in some shops. But so I just looked for a local seller who was prepared to come and collect the guitars I was prepared to offer up, and I was prepared to offer up 9 guitars, mostly acoustics: Sigma, Epiphone, Yamaha, and 3 electric solid bodies, which was another lemon drop but not modded, and a 12 string, 2 12 strings. One of them was John Hornby Skew's VS model with the offsets, which I didn't really like anyway. So I found a local shop that had one in stock and was prepared to do a trade. What I was offering was certainly more than what they were selling this for. I know from speaking to the guy who came to collect the guitars that this had been in the shop for over a year, and I know some online dealers are selling these for, as I say, 2,700. It was in the shop for 2,000, so the guy couldn't get rid of it. It must have started off at about 2,500 and he'd brought it down and down. So yeah, in the end he was selling it for about 2,000, and what I was offering was probably he could sell on for quite a bit more profit than he would have made trying to sell this, because I think he must have been close to what he'd paid for it, so he was eager to get rid of it and spread the risk with 9 guitars. So yeah, it's known as the Maple Glow. Probably not the best colour in the world, but still I'm getting used to it, and I don't think I'm hoping that I'll never sell it. They're pretty amazing guitars. The quality is there. You know, whether they're worth what they cost, I don't know, but they're certainly well made, and there's no other sound like the Rickenbacker sound that any other guitar can make. So yeah, it's a pretty special guitar, and I needed to get my guitar holdings down. I was holding so many at that time, too many, too much room. So it was a good, in my book, it was a good trade. Next guitar up is, just take the lemon drop, is another Rickenbacker. This is an interesting story. I've got a couple of classic player Fender Mexican, and I was looking to trade them for this guitar. Guy wanted an American Strat. Originally he was prepared to do a trade and then decided he didn't want to do it, so I then offered him £1,000 for this guitar. On Gumtree he said, yeah, that'll buy me the American Strat he was after. So when I met him at a rail station in Swindon in England, and he'd driven from Swansea, so he'd done most of the travelling, but I think he took the money that I gave him, and he already somebody local to him in Swansea was selling the Strat, so he had a strict rule. His wife said one in, one out, so he had to get rid of one of his guitars to be able to buy the new or the second-hand American Strat he was after. Fireglow, this amazing guitar really. The guy who I bought it off said he paid £1,000 for it when he bought it. Now it's a 2008 model, so I don't know how long he'd had it, but yeah, you're not going to get these guitars second hand for any less than about £1,000. So, you know, it's a fair deal for £1,000 this guitar. So I was happy with that. I've always wanted a Rickenbacker, and I ended up with two within a short space of time, 6 and a 12. So you know, that's pretty amazing really, that I've managed to get the guitars that I've always wanted, and I never thought I'd ever buy American guitars, but I suppose in both cases though, one was second hand for a really good price, the other was traded for other guitars, so I never really, you know, I never bought them for new and for brand new prices, which you know, in one hit is a lot of money. So let's have a look. Next guitar up is a classic player, Mexican. This was the other classic player I spoke about. I did the same thing with this guitar as I did with the Sonic Blue Strat, which was that I own, which was traded. I traded it for 3 classic vibes. This is the Baja, and it's an interesting time that it's got more switching than the average Telecaster would have. These are new, are about $750. 3 guitars I traded for this was a Butterscotch Classic Vibe, the Blonde Classic Vibe, and the Classic Vibe Custom. 2 of which I'd bought second hand anyway, and the other one had been bought for me as a present. So I'd only forked out cash wise about 600. So this is in perfect condition. Again, it was a good deal. Still, I was offering the better deal. That's why somebody was interested in a 3-for-1 trade within days. It's the same deal that I offered for the Sonic Blue Strat, and somebody was around here within 3 or 4 days. You can always tell a good deal when somebody's that keen. These are amazing guitars though. The best Telecasters, non-American made Telecasters you can buy, I think. So yeah, not quite sure what the wood is these are made out of, but you can see it through the finish. So yeah, can't really recommend these any greater than to say. You know, they're probably the nicest Telecasters, non-American made Telecasters you can buy. So yeah, another Gumtree trade, and you know, sometimes you can put things on Gumtree and get no interest, and other times you get somebody around straight away. The next guitar is Classic Series instead of Classic Player Mexican. Bought this for £350. Got the guy I bought it off. I met at Waterloo Station in London. Didn't get the chance to try it, even though he said come round my house. I thought I'd take a risk because, you know, the discussions I'd had with him online, he seemed to know what he was talking about, and he'd set this up himself with a neck trim, Levens, and just you could tell seemed to know what he was talking about. And you know, these are amazing guitars anyway, but to get them second hand for half price, it's just amazing. this is a reissue, 70s, very much Hendrix, very much looks like the guitar he used at Woodstock. The only difference really is it's got a bullet truss rod adjuster there that the 70s guitars had, and it's got a 3-screw neck plate, which Hendrix guitar used at Woodstock wouldn't have had. It would have had a 4-plate screw plate, and it would have been a 2-piece maple neck, not a 1-piece. They only made those 2-piece maple neck guitars for a couple of years, Fender. So fantastic guitar, really good pickups, Texas Specials, my best Strat by far, and a very good deal. Another example of what you can get on Gumtree. You can pick up guitars second hand for about half price, what they would be new. This guitar is another classic player, Sonic Blue, older body, very much heavier, quite a bit better quality finish than the vintage modified. That's one of the areas you pay for, you get nicer finishes, but that's what you're paying for, you double the price. This has got a 2-piece bridge that's floating. You can see it's off the body. May change that in future, put an extra spring in the back and get it closer, tight to the body. At the moment you can get a bit more, you can play a lot about with the tremolo a lot more. So yeah, that's the 2-screw bridge. Is really more designed to be floating than the 6, because of course we've got less, because we've got 4 less screws. It's just a lot easier to float it. So yeah, nice guitar. Got, as I say, excellent finish to it. Traded this for 3 Classic Vibes again because I wanted to upgrade my collection and at the same time reduce it. Next guitar is John Hornby Skew's vintage again, like the other vintage I've got. It's discontinued. It's got a wraparound bridge based on the SG Special with P90, Wilkinson P90s. It's got a bound neck. This is the Icon series that Mick Abrahams was involved in the design. It's a mahogany guitar with a set neck. They make SG style guitars still, but they're offset after they lost their court case. Gibson won the court case against them. It's the period when Vintage was still making the headstocks with inlays rather than silkscreen vintage. So it's a superb guitar. They come up occasionally. Second hand, I paid £280 new because I've read a lot about this guitar. When I bought it, it was discontinued, but there's still a few left in the shops. It's got the artificial aging that's not fantastic, but it's a really good guitar. I really like this style of guitar with the wraparound bridge, style of SG. But like I say, you can't buy them anymore. You might be able to pick one up on a second-hand market, but they don't come up that often. This is easily as good as an equivalent Gibson. Again, quite loud acoustically, so always a good sign. But yeah, I bought this about 4 years ago. I think that was shortly after they discontinued them. So Really excellent guitar. Another good guitar I've got, which I bought second hand, saw in a guitar shop. It's another John Hornby Skews vintage. Vintage are excellent guitars for the money. British company have their guitars made in Southeast Asia. Again, wraparound bridge with P90s. This is the Les Paul Special based on. Again, discontinued quite a number of years ago. This was discontinued. I just happened to be walking past the shop, been looking for one for ages, couldn't see any on Gumtree second hand, and just happened to be walking past the music shop, saw it in the window, phoned them up. A few days later they still had it. £250, which was quite expensive because vintage, this guitar was never more than £200 when it was being made, but because they're so rare and it looks particularly good in the TV yellow, that I was prepared to pay the £250. So it actually gone up in price from when it was first sold new, but you just can't get them anymore. It's very rare, and not many other people are making Gibson SG Les Paul Specials anymore, so they're not easy to find any Gibson Les Paul Special. So I think this is made out of poplar wood. Again, it's got a wraparound bridge a lot, which is what I like. Another guitar that's quite loud acoustically. This was well set up by the shop, so I didn't need to do any work or get anybody to do any work on it. Next guitar up is I've really reduced the amount of acoustics I hold, but I've kept this because it's based on the Gibson Jumbo J200. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, copy of the J200 you can buy at the moment. Not many people are stocking it. It's about $750. And I don't think they'll make them for very long. Had to travel to Newbury. I traded a couple of cheap guitars, Holly Benton's, for it. What was quite funny about it was the two guitars I traded, I bought with gig bags, and when I bought this guitar I said, let's just swap gig bags. I'll give you two, and if you can give me a slightly bigger one. But the inexperienced shop assistant didn't want to do that, which I thought was really petty and really quite annoyed me at the time. I almost felt like walking out because I thought they were being so petty, but I ended up buying the gig bag that fitted this, and took the two gig bags I brought with me. But they could have lost a sale over that sort of pettiness. So somebody who just hasn't really got a clue about guitar, buyers, could have spoilt the deal. So yeah, but this is a superb guitar, really well made. It's just got flame maple back, that's amazing. Grover tuners, so much better than the Epiphone version. The Epiphone version of this is being made anymore. So yeah, I think they're still making them, but not many people, even Sigma dealers, have got them. So and Sigma tend to, AMI Sigma that is, the German company who have got the naming rights at the moment. They don't seem to make guitars for that long, so I don't think they'll be long before this is discontinued. So if you do see one, it's always worth having a go and see what you make of it. And I couldn't advise it more strongly to, if you're into that style of guitar, to get one. They're so much cheaper than Gibson equivalent, which are about £2,500–3,000. Another Sigma guitar, 12 string. I got this from the local shop, the shop that I traded the Rickenbacker the 9 acoustics, or 9 guitars, 6 of them were acoustics, a few years ago. Very much Sigma, AMI Sigma make all the guitars in China, but this 12 string based on a Martin design, as all Sigmas are pretty much, except for the ones they're making now, which I've just shown you, which is more of a Gibson copy of, but that's another reason why they don't sell them in the US, because Gibson would never allow them to sell straight copies in the US. So I don't think any of their Gibson copies they're selling in the US. These are not sold under the Sigma name in the US. They haven't got the naming rights in the US, so they're sold as Kindred. But this is a guitar that's they're not making anymore anyway. Sigma, it's been discontinued. But really nice guitar. Down, detuned to D, just so it doesn't rip itself apart, which is another problem with 12 strings. If you tune them to pitch to E, you tend to find that the G string breaks a lot, so by detuning it you get around that problem. But superb guitar, Sigma, AMI Sigma, just superb. At the moment, the quality of their guitars made in China are just amazing. This cost me, I think I traded it for Gear for Music, a couple of acoustics, which I've got not a lot for, £100 maybe trading, and this cost me about 280. So I think when they stopped making these, they were about 420. They were retailing for that money. Superb guitar. And the final guitar I've got at the moment is an Epiphone Master Built all solid wood guitar, which I got from Anderton's at Guildford. I actually went down to the shop this time and traded in a Faith acoustic, which I got I think £300 for. This is an electro-acoustic all solid wood guitar. It was selling for about £470 I think, so I paid about £170 cash. Amazing guitar. This is a cutaway. I've had quite a lot of acoustics in my time. I've had another Master Built and it was equally well made, not an electroacoustic. So yeah, I could have got rid of this when I did the trade for the Rickenbacker over there, but decided I wanted to keep this because it's just nice weight to it, nice setup, didn't have to do anything to it. It's electroacoustic, it's got a nice warm sound because it's all solid wood. Just looks really good. I think this has been discontinued. It's the AJ 500 RE, a natural finish. They do tend to make a lot of guitars that then end up being discontinued, but still I couldn't really advise people more strongly if they want a good quality solid wood, all solid wood guitar, electroacoustic. This maker just superb. I don't think you'll get anything better for the money. So yeah, there you go. Hope you like my